What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Isaiah. Welcome to the final round, and today I'm going to be breaking down one of the biggest UFC cards of the year, one of the biggest main events of the year, UFC 319, Dricus du Plessis versus Hamza Chimaev. And This one's good. This one's going to be a good one. Alibi Idris versus Joseph Morales. This is the Ultimate Fighter welterweight finale. Um, to be honest, I have not been no wait, not welterweight, flyweight finale. I have not been watching this season. I kind of lost interest in Tough, to be honest. It's not. I grew up on the old Tough. That stuff was good. This stuff is doesn't doesn't match up. So, but in terms of this fight, I do think uh, what's his face? Alibi should win this fight. I think he's, from what I've seen, the more durable fighter, and Um, yeah, I think Alibi should win this fight. I really didn't research this fight. This fight kind of just got added, and like I said, I haven't been watching Tough this season, so I didn't know what was going on. And there's also going to be another fight added, the other Tough finale, which will be decided tonight. So yeah, Queen Silva versus Dione Barboza. I'm going to pick Queen Silva to win this fight. Queen Silva is the better fighter, well-rounded fighter. She's coming off that loss to Viviane Araújo, where Viviane was just the better fighter, more well-rounded fighter, and just used her game plan to win the fight. Before that, she was on a hot streak. She was seen as a next prospect coming up in this division, and Diana Barbosi coming off a submission win over Diana Belbita. Is taking this fight on short notice. Karina was supposed to fight JJ Aldrich. JJ pulled out, so Diana steps in. So I'm going to be picking Karina Silva to be winning this fight. I think she's the better fighter, more well-rounded fighter. Um, I think she'll be able to win on the feet and win on the ground too. So I'm going to pick Karina Silva to win this fight. Brian Battle versus Nursultan Rozaboyev. Brian Battle, one of our prospects. He's currently ranked number 8 on our prospect list. Um, Before I begin my pick, I'm going to say this: Brian Battle, coming off of a win over Randy Brown, where he, one, missed weight, and two, I think probably definitely lost that fight. It was very close, but I think I leaned toward Randy Brown in the fight. And then before that, had the TKO win over Kevin Ducey. Um, that was a good win. Before that, Drew Sud, no contest. Rear naked choke to AJ Fletcher before that. And before that, he knocked out Gabe Green in the first round in 14 seconds, but he also missed weight for that fight. And then you have Nursultan Rozaboyev on the other side. Nursultan, very dangerous fighter, very finish heavy type of fighter. A lot of his um, wins have come via finish. Um, let's see. He has 10 TKOs in the first round, 15 subs in the first round, and 2 unanimous decisions. So that is that's wild. But he's very 185 definitely suits him more. I don't know how he ever made 170 because he's a massive dude. But I'm honestly going to be picking Ruzovoyev to win this fight. I like Brian, but I think Brian's got a bit of karma coming his way. He missed weight in the last fight, arguably lost the fight, and I think what he's going to be wanting to do coming into this fight is just smother Nursultan on the ground and hold him there, and because while he can have some success in the striking, I don't think his striking is all that. He doesn't hold a lot of power in his hands, and he's kind of very just volume heavy, technical type of striker. And Wilson's all gas, no brakes, goes toward the finish no matter what he can. He has gotten some decisions. But like I said, majority of his fights come via finish. So I think I'm going Nuzulton's the underdog, and I'm honestly going to be leaning for Nuzulton to win this fight. I think he can either get this done by sub or KO, no, not TKO or submission in the second round. So my pick's going to be Nuzulton ruins the Warrior, and I'm going to be fading one of our prospects. Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Close. We got a battle of the oldies. We got 39-year-old Edson Barboza versus 37-year-old Drakkar Close. Um, it's a hard fight. I think there are ways Drakkar Close can win, but he is coming off that really terrible, terrible KO loss to Joel Alvarez 7 months ago, where his chin looked like it finally had given, like it was glass and it wasn't there because he got put up bad, really bad. And he's taking out Edson, who was also ancient and old, coming off that loss to Lerone Murphy. And he does have wins over Billy Quarantillo by KO, and then Sadiq Youssef by decision, where he got hurt early and then came back in the later rounds and won that fight. Um, I think technique wise and skill wise, Edson Barboza is the better fighter. I think Edson Barboza will win this fight. I think it might go. It definitely will go to a decision. Barboza still has those very fast twitch muscle tendencies, but you can see his body is slowing down, and he's not as fast as he once was, obviously. So, but I do think he's going to be a bit faster than Jakar Close and a bit more technical than Jakar Close. So, I think Edson Barboza is going to be able to get this fight done by decision, and honestly, it could be 29-28 decision for Edson Barboza. Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. I'm going to be picking Chase Hooper to win this fight by submission. Um, Underperformed in his last fight against Jim Miller, but Jim Miller's kind of a veteran dog that should have expected that. He's very good. But Chase Hooper's been on a very good streak since moving up to the lightweight division. He's finally filled out to his body. He's kind of becoming the man, Chase Hooper. He's still 25 years old. There's no way he's even close to his prime. I do think Chase Hooper might be a Charles Oliveira type fighter, given a couple of years. But I think he's gonna win this fight. His striking defense is what worries me a bit. He has polished it up a bit more in recent years, or in his recent fights. But Alexander Hernandez on the other side, I'm sorry. Like you look at him, he looks like he's gonna hit hard and hurt you. But he's got a decision win over Kurt Hallball, split decision win over Austin Hubbard, split decision loss over Damon Jackson. Okay, decision loss to Bill Algeo, and then decision win to Jim Miller. So he's not a power puncher. He's not. He doesn't have heavy shots. He's a more so wrestler. And I think with Chase's BJJ skills, I think he's just gonna lock in a submission in the second round, and I think he submits Chase. I think Chase Super submits Alexander Hernandez in the second round, and that's going to be my pick. Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. I'm going to be picking Lupi to win this fight. I don't know why I wrote Lupi, um, but it's Lupita. But the reason I'm picking Lupi to win this fight is because Jessica Andrade, a hot and cold fighter, that really has not shown that she wants to win these fights in recent years. She's coming off the two back-to-back losses to Talia Silva and then Jasmine Jasavicius. And before that, you got a split decision win over Marina Rodriguez, and then finished Mackenzie Dern because Mackenzie Dern couldn't get the takedowns. But Lupita Lupi is definitely the better fighter, more well-rounded. Definitely wants to win more at this stage of her career. Jessica Andrade, I don't want to fade her like this, but it does look like she's been showing up just for a paycheck with how she has been fighting lately. And people, you know, grind Loopy for a last fight, not wanting to, or dropping the third round to Julia Pilastri, but people forget that in the third round she had to take a shit, and it's hard to buckle down and grit your teeth when you gotta take a shit. So she lost the third, but she won the first two rounds. They got a good win. So I'm gonna pick Loopy to win this fight. She just shows more motivation, and her skills are a bit better at this point of her career. And Jessica Andrade is old in fight years. She's had a lot of fights. So my pick is Lupi Godinez. Gerald Mearshart versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I'm going to be choosing GM3, Gerald Mearshart, to win this fight. Mikhail moving down to the Fighting Nerds team for his last fight and is now consistently on that team. Um, got a win over Sejukas, a dumbass in his last fight. The man who hid in a dog crate from the police and couldn't show up to his last fight because he couldn't get his ankle monitor off. So that TKO win, which was an early TKO win over Sejukas, really does not mean anything to me at all. So if you take that out, he has a loss to Shah Magomedov, who I'm not high on Shara. You have a submission loss to Kevin Holland, and then you have a submission loss to Michelle Pereira. And his last win is Chidi Drakanwani over a year ago. And Chidi, I'm sorry, isn't that good either. So, and then you look at GM3. I mean, he's got a loss to Petrovsky, lost to DeRitter, and lost to Tavares, and pushed both Tavares and DeRitter in those fights, even though he lost. So, I think GM3 is live to sink in a submission in this fight. I think McCall on the ground is a fish out of water compared to GM3. And I think if GM3 can, drag this to the ground, he's gonna sink in a submission as soon as he can. And I think the old dog and the underdog gets this done by submission because I'm sorry, McCall is not really showing that he is, you know, I've, I am very biased against McCall because I do not like him, and he's not really shown any, improvement in the last 2 3 years. So my pick is GM3. Featured prelim, we have King Green versus Diego Ferreira. I am going to be picking Diego Ferreira to win this fight. No man named King is a true king, and Bobby Green has been put out cold in his last two. Got put in a triangle and an armbar by Matty Pittman, but put to sleep, and then got knocked out cold by a spinning heel kick against Mauricio Luffy. Um, and he's got a hood style, He keeps his hands as low as possible and just throws a lot of volume. His last win is a volume heavy win over Jim Miller at UFC 300, which Jim, this old, couldn't do much. And before that, I had a fluke win over Grant Dawson where one jab ended the fight. So yeah, when you look at Diego, had a competitive, not competitive, had a decision loss to Grant Dawson last time out, and then before that, KO'd both Mateusz Rebecki and Michael Johnson. So I think with um, his wrestling pedigree, I think Diego Ferreira can get this fight done. I think he's a bit, durable right now, but yeah, no. If King were to change his name back to Bobby, maybe I'd pick him at some point, but I'm not picking some dude named fucking King Green. Sorry, not happening. Fuck you, but King Green. I'm picking Diego Ferreira to win this fight. Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. I am going to. I've been very back and forth on this fight. I was leaning Kai at first, and then I was looking at it like, hmm. Tim Elliott's wrestling pedigree is a lot better and can have some effect with Kai. Then I've been thinking, oh, Tim hasn't fought in almost over 2 years, or almost 2 years. And his last win was a submission win over Sumadaji on Triangle. Before that, lost to Muhammad Chimaev and really just hasn't fought enough. And but at the same time, you have Kaya Sakura, who has not proven himself in the UFC at all. His only fight in the UFC was a debut title fight against Alessandro Pantoja, where he got put to sleep in the second round. So it's kind of a hard thing to pick. Like obviously, you should pick Kaya Sakura. He's the younger fighter. His striking is much more cleaner and crisper. And if he can maintain the takedown defense, he'll win the fight. But he was taken down kind of not at will, but at will with Pantoja. And obviously, Pantoja is a better takedown artist than Tim Elliott, in my opinion, and is younger than Tim Elliott. So I think this is going to be my pick. I think Tim Elliott, if he can utilize his wrestling, will win. But other than that, I think Kyle Sakura might land a flying knee and put this dude out because he landed a crisp flying knee on Pantoja, where Pantoja just ate it. So yeah, my pick is going to be Kaya Sakura by TKO, but I'm a bit wary because he's not proven himself yet in the UFC. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. I'm gonna pick Michael Venom Page, MVP, to win this fight. I think surprisingly he is moving up from welterweight, the far taller fighter, 6'3" to 5'11". So that plays a big factor. I think he's going to be able to just be obviously the faster fighter. He has the speed, and Jared Cannonier never really has had the speed in his career. Um, MVP is going to be able to use his reach and his distance just to pick Jared apart at distance for the whole fight. I think I don't. He definitely will not knock out Jared Cannonier. Jared's far too durable for that. Although Jared did get hurt bad against Robocop in their last fight, where he bounced back and finished Robocop. Um, Robocop's kind of a dangerous guy, and he packs some power in his shot. So Venom Page doesn't carry the same type of power in his shots unless he gets that perfect shot set up, and it's gonna be kind of hard to do against a guy like Jared Cannonier, I think. So my pick is going to be Michael Venom Page. I think he's just going to be able to use the octagon cage because it's a bigger octagon than the apex. So you're gonna just move around, pick your shots, land some shots, taunt Jared a little bit to make the shots look a bit better. So pick's gonna be Michael Venom Page. I think he gets it done by decision. Jeff Neal versus another one of our prospects, Carlos Prates. I think I said that right. Um, I'm gonna pick Carlos Prates to win this fight, solely due to his length. Um, Jeff Neal is a very dangerous fighter, and if he gets into the pocket and is allowed to rip his shots, he can hurt and put out anybody, in my opinion. But I think Carlos, the younger fighter, coming off a loss, is more motivated to win. The longer fighter and a more Muay Thai type fighter is going to be able to use his kicks and his knees, elbows, his long shots to just really hurt Jeff from a distance. I think Jeff will, close in and land in the pocket and potentially hurt Carlos a little bit. But I think Carlos within 2 rounds is just going to be landing knees and body kicks and elbows, and it's just going to get to Jeff Neal at some point. And I think Jeff Neal might just drop to a knee and get TKO'd in the second round by Carlos Prates. And this fight 100% will not go to distance. These are two type of fighters who always go for the finish, and I think Jeff can have some success in the pocket, ripping his shots, but I don't think Carlos will allow him to get too close in the pocket too often. I think he'll learn some things from his Ian Gary loss about using his distance and using the cage to win the fight. So I think Carlos Prates definitely is going to win this fight. Lerone Murphy versus the debuting Aaron Pico. This is the co-main event. This was slapped together like 3 weeks ago. Um, wow, I'm looking at the odds. They have Lerone Murphy as a slight underdog and Pico as a favorite. Dude, what have we learned? What have we learned in these past couple Bellator versus UFC fights? Pitbull and Pitbull and Yair. Pitbull loses. Patchy makes some Mario Batista. Patchy loses. And now we get a favorite in Aaron Pico. And while I do want to pick Aaron Pico to win this fight, I think Lerone Murphy ends up winning this fight. He's just the more battle tested, the more experienced within the UFC. Like there is a massive step up from Bellator competition to UFC top five. Because make no mistake, Lerone Murphy is a top five featherweight in this division, in my opinion. And Pico's last fight was over a year ago, so he hasn't been too active. And well, he is good. He beat a bunch of cans in Bellator and PFL, in my opinion. And Lerone Murphy is just a more. They're very similar in their skills, and they're both very well rounded in the wrestling and the striking. Pico having Golden Gloves, I believe, and Lerone Murphy being very highly skilled in the UFC, top five. So I want to pick Aaron Pico to win the fight because he's a very exciting fighter. I wanted him to join the UFC for a while. I'm glad he is in the UFC, but I think like Mosvar and Lerone, I think that's a bit too much of a step up too soon. I do think you give him another guy lower ranks, 100% he will win. I think he does beat a lot of featherweights, but I think he needs to be given time to adjust to what the UFC style is, and then I think you have some success against those top guys because he's still only 28 years old. He's still young. He still hasn't reached his peak potentially because that's at 32. So we'll see. I hope Pico wins this fight, but I do think Lerone Murphy does get the decision win, and having Lerone Murphy as an underdog, I think is a bit disrespectful and a bit delusional. But the pick will be Lerone Murphy. Main event: Dricus Duplessis versus Hamzat Chimaev. The fight we've all been waiting for. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Hamzat Chimaev finally, after 5 years, getting his long-awaited title shot at middleweight, not welterweight like people thought at first, but getting his middleweight title shot against a well-deserved champion in Dricus Duplessis, where Dricus used to be doubted very hard. I used to doubt him seriously hard. So he has definitely made me eat my words and has become a great champion since then. Um, but this is a very interesting fight, and I've gone back and forth. It's really hard to choose. I want to pick Dricus. I think Dricus can survive Hamzat and weather this early storm and get him out in the later rounds, or potentially win those later rounds and get a decision victory. But the main narrative that I've been pushing and that a lot of people have been pushing leading up into this fight is that in the first two rounds, Hamza has all the chances to win, and if he can finish Dricus. Other than the two rounds, rounds 3 and 4 and 5, Dricus is all game. It's Dricus' fight and Dricus will win, but I think downing a Hamza's cardio, while it can be deserved, I think is I think we need to let that go because he came in sick to the Kamaru Usman fight supposedly, and gas in the third, and then against Gilbert Burns, we saw what happened there. That was a war, and he gassed there. Um, but we've seen cardio problems in the past, but that was at welterweight and potential sickness. He has been training hard. He has been training well, but can his cardio really be up to the level that it needs to be for this fight? Because he is he going to go as hard as he always does in the first two rounds? And if he doesn't get Dricus out of there, what does he do? Will his cardio last? Because I do think he's gonna shut a lot of people up about his cardio and prove he does have pretty well rounded cardio. Um, I don't think it can be as good as he wants it to be because back in like 2021, 22, he fucked his whole body up when he got COVID and still trained. And since then, his health has not been the same. Like he's come out and said he is not leaving where he's residing right now just to avoid any type of illness or anything happening to him because he doesn't want to ruin any chances of getting this title fight. So I do think Hamzat will prove a lot of people wrong about who he is. I think he will show a lot of heart and cardio in this fight. I just think Dricus is too proven and too durable to be counted out and put out like that. People are a lot of people saying Hamzat's special and he's just gonna get this done within the first 2 rounds, and he can. But I think Dricus is too durable. I think Dricus knows Hamzat is going to get this fight in the ground. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. Hamzat will get this fight to the ground against Duplessis. But Duplessis knows that, and he's going to make him work every step of the way. Work to get the takedown, work to keep him on the ground. And I think Dricus will get up at some point. Um, so I think Dricus is just too durable and well-rounded, and I think he's just going to survive the early storm of Hamzat Chimaev, and I think he's gonna. Honestly, I think Dricus finishes this fight. No, I think this fight goes to decision because I have a prophecy, and I'll tell Jake about this later because he'll hate me for it. But in every one of Hamzat's fights, it changes. Ling Jing Liang, right? Submission. That's a finish. And you get Gilbert Burns decision. Next fight, submission, finish. Next fight, decision. Next fight, submission, finish. We're due for a decision. So I think Dricus is going to drag this into the deep waters, and I think he's going to drown Hamzat. I think he's just going to get a 48-47 decision across the board. Maybe a couple, it might be a split decision, who knows. But I think Dricus Duplessis is going to win this fight. And honestly, there's a lot of contenders. Not middleweight is starting to heat up in terms of contenders, and there's a lot of people I would love to see Dricus fight. And Dricus winning is honestly better for this division. So the pick's going to be Dricus. I've already put a bet on Dricus. So yeah, I hope Dricus wins. But there is a potential that Hamzat can win this fight in the first 2 rounds and get Dricus out of there. And if he does, then holy shit, Hamzat's a real deal, and we all need to shut up and realize Hamzat's something special. But we'll see. A fight's a fight, and anything can happen. So thank you all for watching the video. Pay attention to any of the future breakdown videos I'm going to be doing. Later this week, me and Jake will be doing a breakdown together, and I'll be releasing any other UFC promos, edits that I've been starting to do. So pay attention to all that. But thank you for all watching the video. Drop a like, leave a comment, share the video, subscribe. Anything's appreciated. And remember, all the greatest fighters leave it all in the final round. Peace.